Section 107 Fair Use allows us to talk about it, and that's what we're here to do. Please do not go out of your way to dislike anybody we talk about in this video. It is for entertainment and reaction purposes only. Honey, it's my opinion and my opinion only. Baby, Lakewood Ranch, Florida done came and put Peaches McIntyre in her place. Baby, they done said, we see you. We see what you about. We see what you think you about. And honey, we done came for you. Now, baby, Peaches back at it with the school. Let's just start there. Now, first off, I have a question. Is all this content old? Because she told us this was old content, right? So let's get into this for a second. She told us the content was old, that she was over 30, 40 days behind on content. So we were going to get it as she gave it. She posted that she withdrew the kids, but we're still getting going to school footage. But is this, going to school and why she withdrew them? Is this like leading up to the reasons why she took them out to school because of all the drama? And also, honey, doing them drop-off videos with them old braids in your hair and them old braids and gorgeous hair. These are old videos. Y'all have to look at the videos and the hairstyles, honey. These are old. So we trying to catch up. Okay, so we're going to talk about what done happened, right? What she done dropped. Now, yesterday, we got a series of shorts where Peach was out here about ready to cry. She was screaming and yelling. So let's talk about what happened. She was upset. She claims that Gorgeous and another child got in the car. I think it was McIntyre. They got in the car and they had these little black bags. And Gorgeous was excited, talking about, look what they gave us, Mom. And the black bags had the kids' names on them. And they happened to be food. And it was not good food. It was like ramen noodles, macaroni. It looked like it may have had some cereal packets and things like that. And according to Peach, it came from an organization that was feeding empty bellies, right? And she was steamed. She was like, how dare they hand these to my children? What would make them think that they were starving? What would make them think that they was low income? What would make them think that they needed food is what she was saying. So she shows herself. She takes the food back to the school after huffing and puffing. And she literally shoves it through the window, goes off on the people, tell them don't they ever give her kids anything free, especially no food. She feeds her kids. She don't know who they, thought they was playing with, but they ain't going to be playing with her children. And Peaches McIntyre. Then she went on to rant about how if she showed her pantry, it would make everybody up in there cry. She got plenty of food for her kids. Why would they do this to her children? She went on to say that she thought that it was because they were black and they were in a predominantly white school. Now, I'm going to tell y'all something. I don't think this, I'm going to remove race card from it, right? For a second. I'm going to just talk straight out. Let me just say this. You live in Lakewood Ranch, Florida. This is a place that Peach praises, right? Like it's some high society, high sedity, high class place. But honey, you have to keep in mind that you lived over in Lakewood Ranch, Florida, where you do not live anymore. When you did live over there in their community, they showed you where you needed to go. You got the boot and the scoot and the boogie. When you lived over there in those apartments, you were over in their community room. You were dancing around. You was being loud. You and your husband was fighting. Windows was getting broken. CPS was coming. The cops was coming. And then to boot, you weren't paying rent. You were doing all this and you weren't paying rent. You had your kids out all throughout the hurricane in the apartment complex. You had them riding bikes in the middle of the night. You had them walking around with food in their hair. You had them riding their bikes at all hours of the evening, and you were keeping up stink dancing in the middle of the street. They showed you just how they felt about you, gave you the eviction notice. They didn't care if you had the money. They didn't want you there. They told you to get up on out of there. You don't even live in Lakewood Ranch, Florida anymore. Why are you continuing to use all their facilities? You no longer live in that city anymore. You moved to the outskirts. You are back in the ghetto. Let's just be honest, where you seem to love to live. But you are putting on this facade that you just got to hang out at the library in Lakewood Ranch. You just got to be up in everybody's business in Lakewood Ranch. And you have to let us know that you are I'm hanging out in Lakewood Ranch, Florida, blah, blah, blah. And now they've showed you, right? Let me tell you, for a person that has money that you claim that you do, you sure don't look like you do. You went up there to the PTA meeting and you had raggedy braids in your hair. Then you went up there with your braids having dust, lint, dander sprung on all top of your head. You was out there, oh, I'm not going to pay the school. I'm going to just work it off. I'm going to do the parent hours, even though I'm Peach McIntyre and I'm rich. You were out there with McCain. Y'all was planting seeds and trees and mulch and everything else, and you looked a hot mess. You were dancing in the middle of their parking lot. You was screaming, you was yelling, and you was doing content. They don't want you around, Peach. You just are not their type of folks. Let's be honest, okay? Now, as far as the bag of food, right? Let me just see this. Say they watch you on the internet. They see that you've been evicted. They see you have a gambling problem. They see that you and your husband struggle all the time. Don't you think that they think your children struggle like that? Let me just say this. Say they watched your channel and they seen all the things that was going on and how you were on here huffing and puffing about being broke and having to sell classes and how your husband doesn't support you and how, you just were struggling. They would think that too, wouldn't they? That's called putting all your business out on the internet. Then, okay, you have your children going to school with their hair standing on top of their head. You have lint, you have old food, you have dirt, you have dander, and then you claim that you are rich and you built a barbershop in your house. I mean, come on, y'all, let's make it make sense, because nothing is adding up. You don't care. You let them dress themselves. Sometimes they have on mismatched shoes. Sometimes they have on mismatched socks. And the biggest thing to boot, right? You are saying how they struggle in school, how academically that they're not doing well at all. You also made a video saying that they all need speech therapy, that they're not speaking well. I mean, let me just say this. You have a person who is able to pay to have their children do things at the school, right? And be there. But maybe they're thinking that the tuition and the fees are stressing out the parents and they want their children to have good education, but the children are just falling behind a little bit. Is that how they got on the list? I'm just wondering. The bottom line is this. You went to a meeting about the school, right? And you showed us. You had all of your children who were running around in circles. Some of them didn't even have shoes on. You had, oh my goodness, you had Phenomenal up there and his hair was standing on top of his head and he looked like it hadn't been combed or washed in days. You had them looking a mess while you went there for a meeting that was supposed to be a professional meeting for parents. Maybe all those parents seen those children and thought, there's something going on in the household. Maybe we should help them out a little bit. Or the fact that their mother walks around with her belly hanging out and her hair standing on top of her head. But let's just be honest, right? Let's talk for a minute. The feeding empty bellies, I looked on their website. It does say that you have to have a consent form. So a lot of people in the comments were like, Peach, who signed the kids up for it? Did Peach do it and she just wants something to talk about? Or did the school do it? I believe that the school did it, right? I believe the school signed the children up. They thought they needed a little help. Now, let me be honest for a second. I think that it comes about 70% of what they see online. 70 out of 100% is what they see online, what they see from the children academically, and what they see from them behaviorally, and what they see from the parent that walks up there looking the way that she does, that made them think that the children were struggling. Now, did race play a part? Maybe 30%, but I think maybe, the 30% out of the 100 is that, guess what? They don't know how to do anything when it comes to Peach, right? She doesn't come in and talk like she has a good head on her shoulders. Let me tell you something. If someone was to give my child that, I wouldn't go in there and shove the food back in their face. I would have sat down. I would have talked to the principal. I would have wanted to know how my children got on this list. What is being displayed at school that would make you think that my child needed food? I would want to get to the bottom of it. I also, knowing the parent that I am, that my child went to school clean, hair combed, haircut. He was academically great. He was playing sports. I would really have wanted answers. Peach does not go and sit down and talk to the principal because she knows the answers that they will give her. They will say, well, appearance is a big thing. You send your children to school looking a hot mess. It ain't the kid's fault. It's the parents' fault. Also, they would say, well, your behavior and how you come up here, the fact that they struggle academically. And a lot of times people think that children struggle academically because there's something going on at home. Maybe it's food. Maybe it's, something going on that has something going on with the parents that they're not paying them attention. So they just thought they could help a little bit. Also, Peach, I would have sat down and I would have said, why do you think my children need food? Are they displaying that they're hungry at school? Am I not sending enough snacks? What made you guys think this? There are many of days that, yes, they may have, money on their lunch accounts, but kids come to school with snacks and things. And there are many of days, because you just made a short where you said, oh, my baby forgot their book bag in the K car, so then I had to take it back up there. What if your children are asking for extra snacks? I mean, what if they feel that they need a little bit more than what you're packing instead of vocalizing it to you because you said they do need speech therapy? Maybe they're telling people at school. Why would you not sit down with the teachers and the staff and figure out the reason why? Peach's first thing that she always does is go to the school and act a fool. And that's why your children get treated the way that they do at that school, because most parents don't act like that, especially in that area. Also, she put up a video of another parent say, well, my kid got this bag, but isn't it ironic that my child got this bag of food for lunch, but then they sent a permission slip home for a program for soccer that costs $250. If you think that I could afford the $250, why would you give my kids a permission slip to be in soccer? Well, let's just talk about that for a second. Do you see Peach's children staying after school and doing any activities? Do you see them in any athletic program? Do you see them doing anything inside the school other than being dropped off so that their mother can go film content all day? Because it ain't like she's dropping them off and being involved or teaching them outside of the school. So once again, she's not going to go and sit down in there and have a conversation with them professionally. She's going to act like a ghetto bumpkin that she is, because guess what? She has no go back, right? If the school says, well, your children don't participate in anything, they're falling back academically, and they're, the presence of the way that they look when they come to school, Peach can't fight any of that. So instead, she has to go in there and act like a fool. Because, honey, I'm telling you, if that would have happened to me, I would have been sitting down with everybody and wanting to know the why. Not taking the food back and throwing it up in the window and acting all crazy. I would have known the why, and I would have came back, well, this is why I don't believe my child needed it, and I feel like they were being singled out. But she doesn't have that go back because, hey, they have a lot to say about why they think her children do need the food. And she didn't want people out here in the world to see it. Keep in mind, this is a woman who sat at the library telling the librarian, oh, but I'm rich and I'm famous. I'm rich and I'm famous. And that's why people don't like me. I'm rich and I'm famous. Well, honey, let's just keep it all the way real. You don't display that with your children. You don't display that with your children that you're rich and famous. I bet you don't see people who really are rich and famous, children going to school without their hair combed. I bet you don't see the people who are really rich and famous. Let's just take Cardi B, for example. Do you think her children are showing up with their hair unkept and not cut and not trimmed up and not on task? Do you think that they're showing up looking and acting the way that your children do? Absolutely not. So you don't display that you rich or famous. You display that you are broke, that you are below poverty, that you have the intelligence of a freaking ant, and that you don't know how to talk to nobody. You show that all you're worried about is content. And I'm going to tell you something. Those people that walk up in Lakewood Ranch, Florida, and are doing all of this, these are people who have careers. These are not people who are making money on social media. These are people who have went to college. These are people who have education. These are people who have careers that go and clock in. So all of this, I'm rich and famous on the internet and on TikTok and all that, they don't work with all these folks. And you need to realize that normal people out here in the world, they don't understand unless they're on the internet, the things of the internet. So you need to go in there and you maybe need to have a talk and you need to film it. Because, honey, I want to see the why of why they gave your children them food. I really do. But like I said in the beginning, because I'm just really getting too deep into this, like I said in the beginning, I think this is us seeing the why she's saying that she took all her children out of school. And then with her behavior, maybe they got kicked out. Maybe she didn't withdraw them. Maybe they got the boot. Because like she said when she walked out of the school, well, maybe today, after what I'm doing, they might just kick them out. And I don't give a F. You're walking up and down the parking lot of a school telling everybody on your phone, on your camera, how you don't give a F about the school and you don't give a F about any of the kids in the school unless they're yours. Honey, that could offend a lot of people. So that might be why the children are no longer, allowed to go there. So we'll have to just see how this all unfolds. Honey, this is a whole bunch. But y'all got to tell me down in the comments what y'all think about it, because, this is a big hot mess. I'll see you there.